welcome back to my channel. And for today's video, I'm going to explain to you what is handwriting analysis. But before that one, let's have a very short introduction. So, did you know guys that handwriting, we have a different and we have unique handwriting. We cannot copy someone's handwriting because it is very unique. And did you know that by examining handwriting, we can determine what is the characteristic of that person who owns that handwriting? And the study of handwriting or the characteristics of the person who owns the handwriting is called graphology. Right? It is very interesting because by examining handwriting, you can understand or you already know what is the characteristics of that person. And also a very short trivia that paper was first made during 105 by Kai Lun or Tisai Lun. And it is made from the mulberry tree, and the paper was made on the mold of the bamboo strips. So that is the history of the paper. And did you know that every writing or everything that people has is unique, especially that handwriting, we own a different types of handwriting and it is unique. We cannot copy someone's handwriting because there's a lot of different strokes and different loops, and that makes the handwriting unique. And to tell you a short story about why handwriting is very important, why handwriting analysis and document analysis is very important. It is because I will tell you the story about the Dreyfus affair in 1984. Did you know that Sir Alfred Dreyfus was a Jewish French army captain? He is a captain in the army. The French intelligence that someone saw, and there's conspiracy that Dr. Alfred he sell the French army secrets to the Germans. That made him guilty because someone showed a document that points a finger towards Alfred Dreyfus. It stated that that is the handwriting of Dreyfus, and Dreyfus sell those secrets in the French army. He sold it to the Germans, and because of the help of the document examination and handwriting analysis, this case was being solved. And this case was being famous way back in 1984 because you know that this Alfred Dreyfus was, imagine, you are being sentenced, you are being accused by a crime you didn't commit just because of a single document, just because of the single handwriting that was stating that it is your writing. And he was sentenced to death. That was a sad story because you are being accused of the crime you didn't commit and you are being sentenced. Imagine, nasentensyahan ka ng pagkakakulong ng habang buhay dahil lang sa ganung klaseng anomalya na ikaw daw yung nag-solve ng secrets ng mga French sa mga Germans. But in 1996, Lieutenant Colonel George Piscart uncovered evidence, and it reveals that Major Ferdinand Walsen Esterhazy was the guilty. So hindi pala si Alfred Dreyfus, and na-discover yun siya ni Lieutenant Piscart. And Lieutenant Piscart, yung handwriting na yun, hindi pala pagmamay-ari yun ni Sir Alfred Dreyfus. It was the handwriting of Sir Walsen Esterhazy. But before that, but yung nagsubmit ng handwriting na yon was si Sir Hubert Joseph Henry. siya pala yung nag-submit ng letter na nagtuturo kang Sir Alfred Dreyfus na siya yung guilty or siya yung nag-sold sa mga sa mga Germans ng mga secrets ng French. And Hubert Joseph ito siya si Sir Hubert Joseph Henry. Siya yung naglaglag kang Sir Alfred Dreyfus na si Sir Alfred Dreyfus daw yung nag-sell ng mga secrets. Pero inamin yun ni Sir Hubert Joseph Henry publicly na ito ay forgeries. Hindi yun siya pagmamay-ari ni Sir Alfred. It is a forgeries. It is a documentary forgeries that would make the Germans army para maging mas malakas. So, si Sir Joseph Henry ay nakulong. And habang nasa kulungan siya, he's still waiting for his trial. Pero after ng trial, hindi na po na-trial yung kaso ni Sir Henry kasi po nag-commit na po siya ng suicide. Because siguro guilty siya. So imagine the power of document examination and analyzing handwriting. So maraming palang nagagawa yung mga handwriting analysis and document examination way back how many centuries had passed. So yan yung tatalakayin natin ngayon. So we will going to talk about handwriting analysis, and I will show you also the methods and guidelines on how to analyze writings and what are those characteristics of handwriting that you can malalaman mo talaga kung ano yung characteristics ng isang tao or ano ka-consistent yung sinusulat niya or yung pagmamay-ali niya na letter. So, what are we waiting for? Let's go! So, handwriting. Each person has a unique handwriting style. We all know that every one of us has a unique handwriting and nobody can copy 100% our handwriting because those handwriting can be affected by our mood, our instrument, our writing instrument, or who is the audience that we will send the letter or the writing. And also, we all know that every time we write a letter, every time we write something, it depends on our mood. If we are angry, if we are sad, if we are happy, this will initiate strokes, a very unique strokes and different types of loops that would make our handwriting very unique. What are those factors that influence handwriting? Of course, size of our fingers, hands, and arms. These will the factors that can influence our handwriting. Our muscular makeup can be impacted by sports, works, or hobbies. Education. Our education. When did we learn how to write? And what are those strokes that we learn first before we have a different ideas on what are those types of handwriting. Style and personality. If it is in a rush or oriented, because every time if we are in a good mood, we can have a lot of style, and we can show our personality through writing. And writing examination, of course, we all know that handwriting examination is very important. It gives an adequate amount of handwriting samples. There will not be identical features. So handwriting examination is very needed to be implied nowadays and to examine those handwriting, because through handwriting we can balance if it is forgery or if it is genuine handwriting. The general characteristics of handwriting includes line form, the smoothness of letters, the darkness of lines, and the different strokes. Next is formatting. It includes formatting, the spacing between letters, words, and lines, placement of words, and margins. The format, of course, is very needed. When you will write a very important letter or a very confidential letter, it needs to be presentable. So you need to look for your spacing between the letters, words, and lines, placement of words and margins, and all. And to tell you honestly, guys, in handwriting analysis, the format, the spacing, the words, and lines is very important to examine, because we will find out the consistency of those spacing, those words, and those lines that was being written by the person. Handwriting characteristics. We all know that we have 13 types of handwriting characteristics. There are 13 characteristics of handwriting. It involves line quality, word and letter spacing, letter comparison and size consistency, pen lifts, continuous writing, connecting strokes and letters, beginning and ending strokes leading to letter completeness, letter formation if it is cursive and or printed, shading on pen pressure, slant, baseline habits, flourishes or embellishments, placement of crosses on T's and dots on I's, margin formatting. So those are the 13 characteristics of handwriting, and it's very important to understand and to study these characteristics, because it will help us to determine and to analyze handwriting perfectly and genuinely. First one is the line quality. You should ask first yourself, are the letters erratic and shaky, or do they flow? You should always look for the line quality. If it is, because in the line quality, we can determine if it is smooth, shaky, or nervous, or juvenile, or deliberate. Word and letter spacing. From the very beginning of the letter, we should always look for the spacing, especially if it consists of how many sentences. We should look for the spacing of the word and the letter, because we can determine if one person if only one person owns this handwriting, because the consistency of the spacing, the letters will be visible in this type of handwriting. So we can determine if it is the space between capital letters and small letters. We should identify that one. The space between capital letters, if it is consistent or it has another formations. Space between word formations, especially that the changes of the formations of the word. Next is the letter comparison and size consistency. With this one, it involves the height or the width. Are they consistent or inconsistent? We should always the height of overall writing. Or from the first sentence, the height of the letter J is big or high, or in the next sentence, it has a short height but a very big space that was being taken of this kind of letter. So that's it, the letter comparison and size consistency. We should always look for that. Pen lifts or continuous writing. If the writing continues, or does the writer leave the writing implement between the words? It's quite difficult, because we cannot really determine if the person really leaves the pen while he start again to write. But through handwriting analysis, we can determine if he removes pen entirely before starting a new word. We will know that one, because the space and the size will change, since it is not consistent. From the very beginning, you stop and then you make another word. That's it. If the pen continues on paper close to next word, that's it. You can find something like dots or whatsoever. You can find something if that person continues or he chooses to stop before he will start another word. Before he will start to write another word. Next is connecting strokes and letter. Are capital and lowercase letter connected and continuous or not? Also pay attention to how the first letter starts and how the last letter ends. Is there a flare or a direct line? Connecting strokes, ending and beginning strokes. Do they begin on flourish or embellish? That's it. For example, you have that style. You have that style that you have some loops in the upper letter, and then you have another line in the ending of the letter. So this will determine if the line is connected, if the strokes and letters are connected. Number 6 is the beginning and ending strokes leading to page placement. Where do letters begin in relation to the space provided? How does the letter begin at top of the page? Does it continue to the end of the page? Does it stop or start in the middle? So that's it. That's it. If the beginning and ending strokes leading to page placement. Next is letter formation. If it is cursive or printed, are the letters printed, written in cursive, or a combination? How are the letters oriented? Slants, angles, or upright? Any unusual letter formation. So you will analyze if there are unusual letter formation. For example, the letter O or A. That is the letter O or the letter A. Or the S and Y. It has a different loops or a different lines that was being created. Shading or pen pressure. So this will show the pressure of a person holding a pen. If it is light, medium, or heavy, we can determine because the shade of the pen pressure, and also those inks that will really point pressure in the paper. That is shading or pen pressure. If the consistency of the pressure equal to the applied upward and down strokes, or you can notice a pattern. Number 9 is slant. Protractor can be used to determine the degree. Write slant to letters. If the slant of the person comes from right slant to letters, or the person are starting from the left slant to letters. So we can determine if the consistency of the writer, if he started to write right slant, and then the consistency of it up to the end, the right slant is visible. And if the left slant also of the letters from the very beginning, if he writes left slant and then the consistency up to the end. So that is how the characteristics of handwriting. Number 9 is slant. Number 11, flourishes or embellishment. Any unusual strokes. Okay, that's it. The flourishes or embellishment. There's a lot of differences between strokes, especially that if that person has different types of characteristics in writing. So we can determine it by determining the unusual strokes in, are they additional curls or loops added to the letter? If how fancy is the writing? Of course, if the loops and curls are being added in the writing skills. Placement of crosses on T's and dots. How are T's crossed? There's a lot of people who write T's with a different cross. If it is high, low, or in the middle, they will write the line in the middle or in the other side, upward or downward. Where are dots to the eyes placed? Left, right, or centered? We can determine that one. Lastly is lastly is the margin formatting. How much empty space does the writer leave empty on the page? Is it consistent or jagged? Is there an angle? So in the formatting, in the margin formatting, we can determine if that person consistency, if he shows that the writing, his writing skills has a margin formatting. So that's it, the 13 characteristics of handwriting. So those are the handwriting characteristics. Those 13 different characteristics of handwriting. And it is very important to understand the characteristics of handwriting, because we will use that in analyzing and evaluating handwriting. It is very needed in analyzing handwriting, those what we call the lines, space, the formats, and any other kinds of curls, loops that was being added. It is very needed to understand, so that we will know how to analyze handwriting. Those 13 characteristics is very visible in conducting handwriting analysis. So thank you for watching my video. I hope that you've learned something from me, and don't forget to always study those characteristics of handwriting, because that will help you on how to analyze handwriting. And also we need to understand the importance of handwriting analysis, because it has a very big help in terms of solving case that indulge with documents and any other legal matters that has a very confidential documents. And also handwriting analysis is very difficult in terms of conducting evidence from those letters, because we really need to examine, we really need to study more and more to understand the differences of the original handwriting to a forged handwriting. And handwriting analysis is a very big help, and we all know that because of the case of Sir Alfred Dreyfus. Imagine, way back in 1894, it was being solved because of this handwriting analysis. So I hope that you learned something from me, and thank you so much for watching. God bless and keep safe.